Welcome back to another episode of Completing the Shelf here on YouTube and our Marvel Studies series, The Road to the Infinity War. My name is Alex, he is Chris. We are back for week 2 of our riveting reviews of the Marvel Cinematic Universe leading up to the 2018 premiere of the Avengers Infinity War, May 4th, 2018. So we thank you for joining us again for another show. Last week, as you recall, we spoke about the first of the many films that did come from the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Iron Man, which was released in 2008. We now go to, in this case, another Avenger, The Incredible Hulk, also released in 2008, starring Edward Norton, Liv Tyler, and Tim Roth. So this is a big green hulking movie, pun intended, because this was kind of also something that we didn't really have an idea that this was going to be a thing just yet, but it certainly helped become a thing as we continue to move forward in this cinematic universe. Chris, since I'm not exactly, for someone with firsthand knowledge about this particular film up until about, let's say, 72 hours ago, go ahead and give us a brief synopsis of The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, so this came out the same year as Iron Man. This is about Bruce Banner, a scientist who accidentally, not accidentally, he tested a procedure on himself and it transformed him into a green hulking monster. But the film starts in the middle of the action, in media res, where he's already in some South American country hiding away from the government. They say they own his body because he's infused himself with their research, and he's on the run. He does not want to be found because the military wants to weaponize what has happened to him.
So, random question. If I decided to put a quarter inside my palm and implant that forever, does that mean the government owns me?
They already own us. We just don't realize it. So, anyway.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. He was using their research that they've copyrighted, and so their research is inside him.
I gotcha. Okay.
In his cells, in his DNA. So he's on the run. There's a great action scenes. This is directed by Louis Ferrier. I think it's the guy that did Taken.
Yes, Louis Leterrier.
Several other. That guy.
He's from France, and he wears pants. Mostly.
You could tell the stylistic, the pacing is really quick in this film. Eventually, he hulks out in the shadows of some factory, and he gets away. And eventually, he makes his way back to the U.S. to find his girlfriend, Betty Ross, who also is the daughter of the general who is part of the program that, made the Hulk.
Yes.
They're hunting him down. They eventually find him. There's a big, awesome battle at a college university field. And he runs away with Betty Ross. They're on the run together. And eventually, he finds a scientist that, quote unquote, cures him. And the General Ross, swoops him up, takes him away. But one of his lackeys has been being modified with a similar super soldier serum, and he goes crazy, becomes something called the Abomination, and wreaking havoc on the city. So Bruce Banner jumps out of a helicopter and fights him and wins. And the end credit scene, the general, he feels like a loser. He's sitting in a bar getting drunk, and Tony Stark walks in and says, "I'm assembling a team." And the end.
Aha! Another Easter egg.
Wasn't that incredible?
One would say it would be incredible. Yes, I think that's the right way to do it. So both movies were, in fact, produced by Marvel Studios, distributed through different production, through different movie studios, in this case. Hulk was with Universal, Iron Man with Paramount. That's why we here in Central Florida get the privilege to ride the Incredible Hulk at Universal's Islands of Adventure theme park.
I see.
Mostly because Disney thinks it's too scary. But that's another topic for another podcast.
So, what are the things you liked about
What I liked about it was that Liv Tyler was in it. She's cute. Fun fact.
this? Oh yeah.
She is not. She does not detract from the movie with her appearances and her role. So she plays a very good Betty Ross. Um, of all the movie roles she has ever done in the past, I do struggle with putting the pieces together for her being a doctor, though. She has been a elf that can live forever, but chooses not to. She has chosen to fall in love with Ben Affleck. Well, that's a unforgivable thing in and of itself, but that's not, that's not her own fault. Well, it is her fault. Never mind.
Sure.
And Ty Burrell makes an appearance, so that's always fun. Ty Burrell is an awesome dude.
Yeah. Yeah, she does a good job. The performances are pretty good, except for the villains. Just like in Iron Man, that was a
Yeah.
problem for me. They were very one-note, shallow, just evil bad guys.
Lacking.
Just because they're evil bad guys. Yeah. But Edward Norton, he's a great actor.
He is
He does a
very,
great
very
job.
good. It does now then bring up the question, where has he been since this movie came out in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, have you seen the movie Birdman?
Yes.
He's in that.
Yes.
And his character just lambasts people for being part of the Avengers and superhero movies. And the whole film is taking shots at that kind of takeover of the film world.
Correct.
So that's what he's been doing.
In part, yes. He does kind of help Michael Keaton as part of that storyline. I understand why sometimes comic book and heroes and such are not exactly a riveting success. They are their own villains. They are their own heroes, and that goes on down that rabbit hole. It certainly did that.
Getting back on track, I love the way this film opens. In fact, the first act of the film is amazing. It's perfect. It's high octane, beautiful cinescapes. Just the poor cities are just building and crumbling on top of each other in South America somewhere.
I think it's Brazil.
You get to
I think,
feel for this
wasn't
guy.
It Brazil?
Is it
I
Brazil?
think it's Brazil.
Yeah, I think you're right. You get to feel for Bruce Banner and the life he's living, and just the direction, the shot choice, the pacing is excellent, the editing excellent, especially once the government is chasing after him. They're in this Coke bottle factory in the dark, and once the Hulk arrives, you never really see him. You just see pieces of him, and it's perfect horror film direction.
This is so true. I mean, it was nice in that regard. I certainly did enjoy that. I just feel like as if I'm not understanding the world of entertainment and that business and everything else, it kind of makes me beg the question. Nothing against Mark Ruffalo, who will eventually make his appearance as Mr. Banner, or Dr. Banner, excuse me. Don't want to take away his medical and educational background. But it certainly does a much better job than the movie that 5 years before portrayed the Hulk by Eric Bana. So this was so much better than
Indeed.
that film ever could have done. But if you did not know that there was a terrible Hulk movie from 2003, it's because we've tried to burn that out of your minds for as long as we could with Edward Norton and what Marvel actually did to put a good product forward. That was an Ang Lee flop. He has not usually done bad films, but that 2003 portrayal was certainly a trash-worthy effort. I don't know that once we get to our rankings that we will be on the same, that we would judge this particular entry into the cinematic universe as such. Again, my review of the movie as a whole, it did a much better job than Ang Lee's did. I did not feel like it reached the same pinnacle as Iron Man did in terms of my
Agreed.
not infatuation, but interest in learning more. Hulk is a very 1.5 dimensional character. It is Hulk is on or Hulk is off. That's really it. And then the battling of that between the two, it's there, but not as much as As we talked about last week, Tony Stark wanting to continue to fix it, make it right, and just be better about it. Hulk is Hulk smash, Hulk quiet, not Hulk. It's a very night and day with him.
Yeah, the character is more complex in the comics, with that internal struggle, and as we saw in, we're gonna skip ahead for a second, Thor Ragnarok. There's a smart Hulk too, where he can actually talk and reason some. And once you get that Hulk, there's a more dynamic relationship between Bruce and Hulk.
It was one of the strangest
But
things.
as portrayed,
It was one of the strangest things to see Hulk with voice lines. Hulk talk to Thor. Hulk talk to Valkyrie. Hulk talk anything. That was just still one of the most strangest things about that particular entry.
Okay. Yeah, so let's save that for the future. We have things to say about that.
Oh,
It's a good
right.
movie.
Let's do that.
But yeah, the Hulk here is that simplistic. You see the pain in the Hulk a little bit, but it's not as developed as the Mark Ruffalo portrayal of it.
Correct.
Does a little more to enrich in that. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, not bad.
The CGI isn't bad for the time. He looks a little rubbery.
Right. Again, I don't feel like it was as strong as Iron Man, and it was not as it was not a departure from the comic book superhero movie that Iron Man and others had done during that time. I think it certainly was a good entry, but it was not a defining moment within the segment, but it was certainly something that we needed to do to properly give Bruce Banner a more truer introduction and reading of his story.
I have to say one thing. Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk made the same year. Obviously, they are not made of the same style, the same tone. And so Iron Man comes out, Incredible Hulk comes out, and Marvel Studios realizes, oh, we need to go more Iron Man route with the tone, the humor, the visual look, because this movie doesn't look like it belongs in the MCU at all. And there's no jokes. It's a very different kind of film, and it's fine on its own, but it doesn't share any resemblance to the rest of the MCU.
Right.
And you can see they haven't established what that is yet. They haven't ironed out all the kinks yet.
Aha.
So that's the end of the episode, and we won't make any more after this. Shall we shelf this? Is this shelf worthy?
I would say this is third shelf. Not. I think again we were going top, second, third, and then bottom shelf. And then if we're completely not putting it on any shelf, it's kind of just in the trash. So I would say this is third shelf, not quite bottom shelf. Because when you compare it to what the Iron Man film that came out the same year was, it was not part of the mold. It was two different entries to test the waters to see how many of us would continue down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Third shelf. If we're taking the four shelf system, third shelf means it's just an average movie. It's not bad. It's just average. So, yeah, I think that fully describes this. First act is fantastic. It gets a little rougher as we go along, but it's definitely shelf worthy. Third shelf for me, third shelf for you. And
average is good.
Yeah.
Average isn't bad. Yeah. It's just not top shelf. So if you are, let's say, a wine connoisseur of any kind, and let's say there is a historic French Bordeaux wine from 1998 that you've been saving for a long time, this would not be that wine. This would be your bottle of Apothic Dark that you would pick up, let's say, from your local grocery store, which is a fantastic beer, or fantastic wine, I should say, not a beer at any means, but it's a good average wine that you can enjoy on a regular basis.
And we just just became an old person show.
Come on now. It's a gentleman show. You can enjoy gentleman beverages and adult beverages while you listen if you want to. I'm not saying that the authors are enjoying any adult beverages in the middle of the day. That would be foolish. It's only 4 o'clock.
Ooh, but that would make the show much more
I was
interesting.
going to say, every time we say Stan Lee, take a shot. That would just...
He did have a cameo. He had his cameo in this.
Yes.
He accidentally drank a bottle of soda that has Bruce Banner's blood in it, and he had gamma radiation sickness from it. That was his cameo. Yeah. I hadn't seen this movie since it came out, and I remember walking out of the theater thinking, I don't like that, never want to see it again. I kind of enjoyed it.
Right. I mean, again,
I kind of enjoyed it this time around.
Compared to what else came out during 2008, this kind of, when you compare it within that same year of films,
Dark Knight, Iron Man.
It certainly fell short. I mean, even outside of the action world, or out of the comic book world, you see that Quantum of Solace also came out that year. Cloverfield, Slumdog Millionaire, Hancock, Wall-E. An Indiana Jones movie even came out in 2008.
No, that didn't come out. No, it didn't.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure there was an Indiana Jones and a Shia LaBeouf. I mean, we're trying to maybe...
No. No swinging with monkeys, no evil ants, no alien heads. It didn't happen. So anyway, so we're moving on to the end of our show.
I mean, Harrison Ford is going to find you. He's not going to be happy with your critique of his fine work.
But he doesn't have a particular set of skills, okay?
This is true.
So,
man, so many good movies back from 2000.
Yeah.
My gosh, I can't believe that was a decade ago now.
I know, but I can't wait to go through this decade of time to see more of these Marvel movies, because my feelings have changed on this film. And I was really surprised about it. I was like, I don't really want to watch this. I'm going to just watch a few scenes. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. I skipped part of the fight at the end because it's just bashing people around.
Yes, Hulk smash.
I hope you all join us. Get this on your third shelf because it is a worthy addition to the MCU.
Yes.
And join us as we continue journaling. I can't even speak. Not journaling. Journeying on this road to infinity.
Yes, indeed. Please leave feedback and comments and questions in the comment section below. Find us on Twitter at Alex_Salvo and at Shelf Nerds. But until then, we will continue to journey to the Infinity War through the cinematic universe. We'll see you real soon.